actual name is Mr. John Lawson. And you know what? That's all I'm going to say, because he is going to rock the house. Ladies and gentlemen.
How's everybody doing today?
Fine.
Y'all all good?
Kind of feels colder ice in here.
That's right, yeah. I'll keep you from falling asleep. That's done on purpose. It's like, no. But, you know, take your pictures now, because I'll be a hot and sweaty mess in about 10 minutes. That's just me. Okay? I just want to give you a warning. This presentation is rated PG. If you need to call your mommy and say, hey, can I listen? Then you better do it now. Okay? So you better get ready, because this is going to be something you probably never heard before. All right? First, I want you all to just stand up real quick. I know you just got in your chair, but this is the exercise, because we want to find out who's the one. Do you remember this movie? It was a great movie, one of my favorites. Not the best trilogy, but it had 2 good movies in it. And one of the things was he was offered the blue pill and the red pill. All right? And then he found out he was the one. Basically, out of the stuff that I'm going to tell you today, only 30%, that means 1 in 3 of you, are going to actually get it and be the one to take it away and do something with it, change your life, and change your business. So what I want you to do is look to the person to your left, and then the person to your right, and then you tell them, I'm the one.
I'm the one.
All right, let them know, I'm the one. You can sit down. That's right. I'm the one. You're the one? So people ask, who's this dude? You know, there's not a whole lot I can tell you about myself. I do this blog, ColderIce.com. I was given an award for being savvy in social media, and that's kind of some of the content that I'll be sharing with you today. I actually run an eBay store. But one of the things I do like about looking at my eBay numbers, we've done, you know, like 79,000 feedback. I've actually got over, if you look in the bottom right corner, I don't know why I put this, over 100,000 actual feedback. You know, satisfied customers. And then over here, it's like where you can revise feedback on eBay. That says 3, you can't see it. So I don't even ask people to revise my feedback and all that crap. This is natural. All right, if you don't like me, so what? Of course, I'm on a US TV commercial. Have you seen the commercial?
Yes.
No.
Look at him. That's me with my shirt off. I asked to please hold the questions to the end. I've got a slide deck about this thick, so I want to make sure we get all the content in. I will be here all day to answer any of your questions, you know, so don't worry about that. We just want to get all the content in for everybody. Is that cool? All right. Fantastic. I want to make this disclaimer for all you people that do vintage. I've never done vintage. It's not my background. But there are principles that I might have that you can take and adapt to anything. All right? So take what you want and leave the rest alone. Who this talk is not for. This is very important so that we don't get confused. This talk is not for people who are content with the old way. If you are not open to new ideas, this probably won't work for you. And if you just like to complain about everything, this is not the place, okay? And this guy is just a curmudgeon. And my nephew used to call me that all the time. I had to look it up. You're an old fart. Like, thanks, dude. Okay, are you smarter than a 5th grader?
No.
That's right. Statistically, you're not. Because every day we watch this show, because it comes on every day here, right? In the U.S. now. And somebody sits there and stands in the camera and says, I'm not smarter than the 5th grader. And even if you and I are smart enough to win that show and be smarter than the 5th grader, it's most likely that our customers are not. And that's the most important part, okay? Now, let's do a little bit of history of e-commerce. Since we're all e-commerce seller, you know that e-commerce was started with pay-per-click, right? Or not pay-per-click, excuse me, PPC, right? And that stands for pills, pornography, and casinos. That's why we're all here. If it wasn't for this industry, there would be no e-commerce. And if you even look at that industry today, they're still constantly pushing forward how to make money on the internet. So a lot of the things that they created, we kind of implemented a little bit later, or a few years later, and that's how the internet and e-commerce got started. So now we're into what we call the World Wide Web. And I say the WWW for 2010 and beyond is about what I want, the way I want it, and when I want it. Or when I want it the way I want it. Okay? You have to think about this, about what's going on with customers today. It's no longer just about you, it's about them. And it's a new experience that's happening inside of e-commerce and the web in general. It's personalized now. People can have a personalized experience. They have unique results. If you log into Google, and this is something, I don't know if anybody ever told you this, but if you're doing search for stuff and you're looking for your stuff, where's my stuff, land on Google? You got to make sure you're not logged into Google. Because every time you're logged into Google, you get a personalized result. Do you know that? So you're skewing yourself. Well, everything right now is becoming very, very personalized. And now also it's becoming very socialized. So what I get, I can share with others. I mean, it's sort of like the iTunes thing, where you can make an iTunes playlist, and then you can share it with other people. It's your personalized playlist, and you can share it. That's pretty much what a social experience is becoming like, even on the internet. And then, of course, it's all about mobile. I mean, I know you all got your phones with you right now. Maybe you have or have not that new Bluetooth action that this guy's got going on to keep your phone close to you. So what's happening now is that, it's no longer a device that's got to be carried in a case. It's a device that's being carried in your pocket. And that's why we're going to talk about what's changing with mobile and social being right in somebody's pocket at all times, and how that is going to relate to you and I in e-commerce, okay? So let's look at this whole evolution. I mean, if you remember back in the day, and I'm pretty old, I've been in IT for a long, long time. And back in the, you can't really see it, but that's a text view. And it used to be like a green screen. You remember those green screens?
Oh, yeah.
That's what we used to have back in the day. The input device was simply just a keyboard, and you would basically create stuff on your device. So you had Word Perfect, or any of these processing programs like, Lotus 123. Who remembers that? My God. But, right? So these are things that you would do right on your personal PC. And to take it off or to share it, you'd have to put it on a floppy disk. You remember that? Oh my God, that was so long ago. Well, then we moved into the next phase where it got graphical. We got Windows, and Windows came with this new cool device. It was the mouse, and you click it, it was like, oh, this is so cool. I don't have to use the keyboard to tab to each area. It was really big innovation. And of course, if I wanted to take that file that I created, I could actually use, the email system and share it outside of my personal desktop computer. And of course, we call that the internet computing age. And we're kind of coming out of that now into something that's totally new, because we're into the touch phase, all right? And people are not using the keyboard and mouse anymore. You can use your fingers to manipulate the data. And also, you're not just consuming the data, but you're also able to consume it and share it back out. I can listen to my own iPod list, and I can share it with others. So we're consuming it and being able to share. That's the new mobile, internet, computing, whatever you want to call it. But that's where we are. That's where the kids are today. That's what the whole cycle that is going on with innovation in our evolution of computer science. I know you didn't think I was going to talk about that. So what has that done? Well, what that has done is that's let the prisoners out. So it's no longer about, oh, let's keep them on our website. They're not going to stay. I don't give a damn how much you try. They're doing their research off your site. They're finding the pricing off your site. You know, sometimes they'll come into the sales funnel after they made all the decisions about pricing, product, and then they come and do just the purchase on your site. So the prison walls are gone now, and people are able, and they're actually technically adapt enough to find what they want using the tools that they have. So it's no longer this, you know, big walled-in prison that we were used to before. It was kind of cool. It's like, oh, they came to our site, now we just keep them here. Yeah, it's kind of not working that way anymore. So in my business, I figured it was time for us to grow up. What really this chart recommends or reflects is that if you start right here in the baseline, these are the features that everybody has. And if everybody's got this feature, then, you know, the adoption is very high, everybody has it, and the differentiation of it is very low because everybody has it. So maybe you can move up into the strategic position where you're looking at features that are going to be, you know, everybody's going to have in the next 12 months. So you get a little bit ahead of the curve and you've got a competitive advantage for a little bit of time. But what we really, really wanted to do is we wanted to move into this visionary category where you can envision something that's about to happen, but it's way off and nobody else is actually thinking about it. And the adaption is very low because nobody's getting it, and it's going to make you extremely different. And that differentiation is really going to be a competitive advantage for your businesses. That's where I wanted to go because the competition was heating up for us. eBay, it might as well be called changes because that's what they're constantly doing. They're constantly changing. E-commerce is constantly changing, all right? The industry, it's really moving fast, and of course the economy did a 360 on us, and we didn't even know it was coming. Well, some of us did. But, I mean, we didn't even know it was going to hit so hard. You know, it hit harder than anybody really projected. So, I started looking at this social media stuff, and I'm like, you know, social media is pretty cool because it's cheap. It doesn't really cost me anything for this high technology. It's very high tech. You have to understand how high-tech this stuff is and have it out there absolutely free to use. Of course, it takes time, but it's free to use. Then I started saying, well, man, how can I use this high-end technology and adapt it to make my sales better? The first thing I want you to understand is that social media and social marketing is not a religion. All right? You don't have to go to social media church on Sunday and pray to the air and hope that something happens, which a lot of social media gurus kind of come tell you. Well, you do that and people are just going to, no, that's bull crap. I don't want to hear that. It's got to be tied to dollars and cents. If it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense because we're here to make money. I don't know what you're here for. You know, KC is probably a great state, but if I'm not here to make the money, then it's just worthless, right? You got to get some good stuff, right? You want some good stuff?
Yes.
Yes. All right, so Bubble Fast put some bubbles inside of your bag, all right? Let me give you my bubble story. My niece, this is my niece, and she's much cuter when she's not as, you know, badly focused. My sister told me, you need some new photos. But she's 5 years old. And I was out in front of the house the other day, and she was out with her bubbles. She had this big old bubble thing. It's huge, you know? And it had this long stick, and she would blow the bubbles. And then she would go and chase the bubbles. You remember how you do that? You watch it, it's just so cute. Isn't it just adorable? And she's chasing the bubbles, chase. And the whole time, she's holding this thing, and then she goes and chases. I'm like, look at this kid. She is blowing the bubbles. She's so fascinated with the chase of the bubble that she's spilling the bubble juice every time she walks. And then she comes looking at me, my bubble juice. I'm like, yeah, you just spilled it. So the actual thing that was giving her the joy, she took her mind off of that completely to chase the little bubble. And that's kind of where some of us have gotten with this social media thing. It's like this cute little bubble, but we end up spilling all of our resources chasing after it. That's what I'm saying about if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. So that's where we're going to go. She gave me my example. This is the world of social media. It's humongous. And this is your Facebook page. I got a Facebook page. You know that social media crap doesn't work. Of course it doesn't, because that's what it's looking like to your customer. We're going to change that today. There are over 1,600